Welcome back to The Truth with Trinity, and I am your host, Trinity. And if this is your first time tuning into the podcast, I'd like to send you a warm welcome. Here, I talk about issues that happen within the black community for a resolution or at least some food for thought to go about your daily way. So, without further ado, I'd like to jump into this episode's topic, which is: does America still feel as if they own black people? So I want to do a small disclaimer. This does not refer to all white people. There are white people that see that things need to change in this country, but that small percentage, I'm not going to not deliver the message. So I want to start off by talking about the ownership. So the ownership over one's body. And this is going to be referring to, how millions of white people in this country feel about black people. So um, it's almost as if they feel like they have ownership over black people's bodies. The way they feel that they can kill you without any explanation, they can move you to whatever area, and that doesn't just refer to black people but also Native Americans. And you are three-fourths human. So, the first thing I would like to bring up is you must feel as I tell you to feel. So, this is something that was done a lot during slavery and it still continues now in this country. So, back in slavery, they didn't care if they just sold your family member or killed your family member or your child. You better still act like you're happy. If they just beat you, you better still act like you're happy. Also, let's say that the slave owner had a death in their family. So this is one of their white family members. They expected for the slave to cry and show more mourning than they showed. So they don't have to show anything about what they did to your family. Okay? But you better sure act like you care and cry and get yourself thrown on the floor and start rolling around crying about their family members. And that kind of stems into what we're dealing with now, the mentality of America now. For instance, there was a black young male in Houston, Texas during the snowstorm they just had, like 5 weeks ago or 6 weeks ago, and the young black man was walking home and he wanted to prevent his mother from coming to get him from work. So there was a police squad car that stopped him, and the police asked, what are you doing? It's cold outside. You don't have a coat on. So the young black male says, "Oh, that's okay. I don't need a ride home. I'll just continue to keep walking." Okay, so then a lot of Americans justified it by saying he should have took the ride home. It was a welfare check. Well, that's where they feel like black people should feel the way they feel, because there is a unspoken record of black people, in particular black males, being killed by the cops. So why would he want to jump in the car with cops? Okay. And the thing that's even more important is, why did he get arrested just because he had his own independent thought that he wanted to continue to walk home? So he was arrested for that. So that ties into that. You've got to do what I tell you to do. And if I feel like you should do something, you're going to do it. So that's that ownership, slave master mentality that's traveled through a lot of the generations and even up until now. So then there's on the workplace. So in the workplace, and this kind of ties into the systemic racism of this country, let's say that there are two people, okay? There are two candidates, and one of the candidates that happens to be black has worked there for 3-4 years, and they have the same credentials, same degree. And then there's, a white candidate that just gets freshly hired. They will put them in the office positions to where they're not doing as much manual work. And they really keep those manual positions for African Americans, even with the same degrees, and if not, sometimes more skill in that particular area. And what that does is, in this country, that's promoting that overseer. So, they get to get paid more a lot of times too. So, they may have the same degree and the same amount of experience, but behind closed doors, they're getting paid 5 to 15, $10 more than you are. Even in positions, what makes it worse, even in positions where there may be like a white person that's a janitor or a less skilled position, and then you may have a black person with a 4 year degree, and that person that's a white janitor will still be getting paid more money. So that promotes that white supremacy thing, and then just that overseer mentality when you have, more, white people in the offices with the same credentials and sometimes less experience, and then you have black people, out there doing the manual work or the floor work. So that's that superiority thing that is still present in today's society. Another area is the justice system. So when we talk about the justice system, you know, people will say that are, non-black or pretty much white that, oh, you have NAACP. You have, what's that? Equal opportunity employment. You have affirmative action. You have a place to complain if this happens to you while you're black. So all these entities that can be named, but in reality is just a pacifier or a smokescreen, because a lot of times these entities are ran by white people, and you can put, so they'll accept your application for the complaint or the grievance, but a lot of times it's swept underneath the rug, and it's always founded that the person's not, the other person that you're complaining about is not guilty, or there's nothing there that can be investigated. So that's one of the ways that it looks like there's places for black people to voice their grievance, but there's nothing usually done about it, because the people that run and oversee these entities are Caucasian. And once again, most Caucasians in this country, they don't even look at black people as human. So this is this three-fourth, situation going on, three-fourths human. And when we talk about the justice system, a person can name all the laws that they want until they're blue in the face, all the ordinances that they want to name. But in this country, majority of the time, most white people only get prosecuted if they do a criminal offense to another white person. So if the white person does a criminal offense against someone that is non-white, it really doesn't matter, okay? Because that's part of the privilege that they're talking about that they have. They'll deny it, but that's pretty much what's going on in America. If the person is black and they have a little money, they may be able to hire a lawyer, but at the same time, the Constitution and this justice system does not protect people that are non-white. They'll say it does, but look at the actions and look at the statistics and the records. They'll prove otherwise. Then when you look at the school system, they have plenty of statistics and, ratio that will show that, black children have this quote unquote difficult time learning, and they cannot learn or something to that nature. But then when the people that are in these offices come across black parents that do care about their children, they do care about their education, and they are very much involved in their children's education, they get offended. So I think that's kind of weird. So, there's a statistic that says that black children are lower achievers in school, but then when they get black parents that do care about their children, they get offended. When they start asking, what's this grade? Or where can my child improve at, or why is this going on with Wi-Fi reception, hotspots. I want my children to learn. So it's this whole image that they paint that, oh, black parents don't care about their children's education, and they say want to paint this idea, this stereotypical idea. But then when there's black parents that do care, they retaliate. So if you try to speak up, after you've tried to talk to the teacher sensibly, you try to talk to the principal, then that's where this systemic racism is in play at, because the entities that run the schools in the district are primarily white. You may have some black people that are superintendents, but they are pretty much ran by white people. And what I mean by that is, yes, just say there is a black superintendent that cares. Their job can be threatened by white people that are higher up than them, or even teachers. They can threaten their job and their food insecurity. So a black person a lot of times has to be quiet within the school systems and on other types of jobs and whatnot. And what happens is they get retaliative. These teachers, a lot of times, especially that have that white supremacist thinking, they get retaliative. What they'll do is they'll, start marking your child absent, excessive amount of times, even though it's not so. And especially when we're talking about online schooling, so that's the racism in online schooling. If you try to speak up and voice your opinion, even in a respectful manner, they'll do things like unnecessary suspensions and dismissals, on your child. So that's their way. So, they're not doing what they did back in slavery. They dressed it up in a certain other way to keep black people in control, basically to learn your lesson. So this is that slave master thinking, you're going to learn your lesson. I'm going to attack your child by putting excessive absences on your child. And that's not referring to children that actually do miss school. But the goal for them is, when it's a parent that actually has their child in school, is to get them placed in jail with truancy. So I've talked about that a little bit. I want to talk about the 3/4 of a human being. Back in slavery, the founding fathers of this country, they expressed, and other scholars as well, they expressed how black people are 3/4 humans. So when you look at 3/4, so if there's 3/4, but there's 4/4 in a whole, what is the other 1/4 referring to? It's referring to black people as being animals. Okay? Animals. 1/4 animal. So when you look at that, so it's not that majority of, I believe, white people don't understand, because, a lot of people nowadays are saying, white people have never had to live the life of being discriminated against. I think white people are some intelligent people, and I think they understand clearly what's going on. But what it is many of them have adopted the great-grandparents' ideology that you are not even human. So in their mindset, black people's feelings don't matter. They don't exist. They don't count. You're not even human. Okay? And so it's easy for a person to kill someone if they don't look at you as human. And it troubles me to say this, and I don't think this is all white people, but white people with that white supremacist secret mentality, they look at, killing a black person like killing a rabbit, or game, sport, and play. So this is nothing, so they don't care about the families. So this is back to slavery once again. They don't care about your family. They don't care about the fact that your child might have lost a father. They don't care about that you might have lost a husband, or that you might have lost a mother because maybe a black woman was killed, or your black child. They don't care anything about that, because you're not even perceived in their mind as human. So that goes back into that, does America still feel like they own black people? And another part I wanted to mention too is healthcare. The healthcare industry in this country, of course, there's problems all across the board. Declining in, the quality of care. But one thing I have noticed, because this is the systemic part of the racism, it's in every entity part of this country, is I've watched doctors and nurses, and in particular they know that they may be short staffed. This is a common situation in the country, especially right now with the pandemic. But I've noticed how white nurses, not all of them, because I've seen some beautiful white nurses, and I've seen some poor black nurses. But I noticed though how especially the ones that have this racist tone to them, they will make sure that they don't verbally abuse or make sure that the white patient has their pills, okay, and their prescriptions. But with the black residents, they could care less. They're talking to them all crazy. And, but it's anything other than racism. For heaven's sake, it's not that. And I noticed, like I said, in, the healthcare field, they will not give, majority of blacks any type of pain pill that fits the description of their pain. So they want to give you Tylenol for an amputated leg. So they're saying, with black people, your pain couldn't be that bad. So this is back to referring to us as 3/4 animal. Like you don't even know what pain is because you're like 1/4 animal. So they're not saying this, but they're acting upon this, and as if black people are just not smart enough to understand, what they're doing. And see, black people at a time right now are at a level of consciousness to where they're waking up. And like Willie Lynch once said, that the black mind has, not just the black mind, but the mind period. The human mind has a tendency to reverse itself, to heal itself. Okay? Because he said the condition that they were going to put black people in was going to keep their minds spinning on an axis, like out in space, like lost. But what's happening is black people are starting to wake up to the consciousness of what's going on to them in this country. And I just noticed that the excuse, so not to dwindle off, but I noticed the excuse that a lot of doctors will give is, black people use drugs, other than for prescription purposes. They're drug dealers. So this criminal blackballing that they portray on black people. So this person could obviously be in obvious pain, and, when about the healthcare field, pain is subjective. But I guess those rules, only apply to white people, because a white person can say that they're in pain, and it could be just an ache in their arm, and they're giving morphine, they're giving Vicodin, they're giving oxycodone 5-325 milligrams, they're giving the whole bit, okay? But when a black person, they could have blood oozing out of an orifice, and crying with red eyes and pain, and they'll say, oh no, here's just a Tylenol for you because your pain is definitely not what you're putting on, you're acting. So that's part of the inhumane policies of systemic racism that go on in this country, because you can't tell me that there's not just as many, if not more, Caucasians that are meth addicts, fentanyl addicts, that pop pills. Okay, but they want to portray only black people that are pain. Does not count. And the last thing before I close out is, a lot of white people in America will say, why don't you just forget about slavery? Slavery was just 400 years ago, when in actuality it was like 125 years ago, But they'll say it's 400 years ago, it doesn't exist now, nothing's wrong with it, and it just doesn't exist. Who cares, basically, And I challenge, white people in this country, because slavery ended in 1865, however. The U.S. Constitution was written and established in 1789. So this is well before slavery ended. And my point is, when the founding fathers wrote the U.S. Constitution, they did not have anybody but white people in mind when they wrote it. 1789, the U.S. Constitution was written. Slavery ended, almost 80 years or so after that was written. So when the U.S. Constitution was written, it didn't have anybody else in mind but Europeans and Caucasians and white people. And the U.S. Constitution has not been altered very much, if any, since then. So for white people to argue that we need to forget about the same rules that they keep implementing in this country that have not been changed, and they don't want to change, and want to start a war over changing the Constitution, is just beyond me. And that's the only way that we're going to get anywhere in this country, is if we revise the Constitution and make some laws to where they benefit all, and not just people who the Constitution was originally designed for. Look, it's been a pleasure talking with you all. That pretty much wraps up my segment. If you would like to get in contact with me, you can at thetruthwithtrinity.com. You can also listen to my podcast on YouTube, Spotify, which is pretty much Anchor, at The Truth with Trinity. And always remember, if you can't tell the truth with anyone else, you can with Trinity. Till next time, take care.